You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, today we're going to attempt wrapping the side of the bumper, see if we can make life a little bit easier for everybody. I know a lot of people struggle with the bumper. They get to a point where they're not 100% sure how to approach it. I do understand it's actually quite easy and actually much easier having two people doing this specific exercise. So we're now getting to a point where we want to do the one side of the bumper. We want to get the stretch around without having too much stretch on the end of the vinyl in order for the vinyl to lift up when you don't want it to. So we will then be doing the side of the bumper. Using a little technique where we will be stretching the material into place. Obviously what you want to achieve is getting the first part down. You also want to make sure that the vinyl is running at such a space or such a position that you have enough bleed at the top and at the bottom. So first what you need to do is basically go out, secure the first part, get it down in the middle, get the first part down. So once the first part is down, the rest of it is basic. It's pretty basic. It becomes so much easier when you understand how the stretching part will be. Again, it's much easier having two people doing this. Now, when heating up the material, make sure you don't heat up this part over here where it actually touches the body. Take it away from there a little bit. You can go to the bottom and at the top of the material just to get the whole material flexible and soft. Obviously you don't want to go and heat it up to the end of the vinyl, because that is where the problem is. And that's where the problem will be, or will stay. Once you actually take it and you pull it and it's still stretched right to the end. So you want to take this vinyl, pull it so you can get a nice and even finish around the corner. Once you've got that down, you can basically just pull and get the rest of the vinyl to fall into place. I'm not too worried about the creases at the top and the bottom of the material, because essentially what you want to achieve is a non-stretch at the end. You're going to have a bit of stretch, there's no two ways about it, but the bottom line is you don't want that overstretch at the end of the material. Getting it down obviously is first price. Getting it down without excess stretch to the end is the winning price. So one of the biggest reasons why we're actually taking the vinyl and stretching it out to the end, well, around the corner, is for us to avoid having to heat the vinyl up on this portion and stretching it in. What will happen is, the reason why you've stretched it around is if you do heat it up, it actually just pulls back into place. And cutting the vinyl in the same direction as what you're stretching it minimizes the chances of the vinyl actually lifting up. Now, today we're using this material called General Formulations Autumn, or the Autumn from General Formulation. Now you do have a bubble. It's quite a high tack, but it's still bubble free, and by pushing on a little bubble, you don't need to go and make holes, unnecessary holes in places you don't want. If you can't get the bubble out first go, obviously you can leave it and get back to it, but that's not important. What is important is that you actually take the material, you stretch it, you work it around the corner, and that's where you want to be at the end of the day. You don't want to stretch it up. When you get to that, we have a lot of creases. Again, heating up the vinyl, you let it basically just pull back and fall into place. That's where you want to be. Then, getting to the end of the material. This is where the problem comes, where a lot of people would say, you know what, just heat it up, pull it, and the rest will follow. Well, what will follow is a big failure on the end of the material. Now, at this point of time, we don't have any stretch at the end of the material, which is what you want. Even if you have to pull it a little bit, just to get it nice and flat, you will still prevent the end of the material to actually lift and fail. So you get to a point where that is where you want to be. You get a nice smooth finish right to the end. Your workability on the material is absolutely superb. Apart from the initial high tack, it's quite easy to work this in. You want to get to a point where you actually take your material and give it a bit of a relief cut, making sure that when you do work it in, you don't have too much hassles by stretching or pulling too much on it. One very important factor is to not let your blade touch the car. Once that happens, you're opening up a new can of worms for a client to be very upset with you about something you could have avoided. Again, just giving a bit of a relief cut on an area. We don't need to force the vinyl or stretch the vinyl to the absolute end of the world to get it into place. This allows you to give it a nice good finish. Now, by giving relief cuts, this is what happens. It opens up, it just makes it easier to work with. With that, you don't have any problems about vinyl overstretching on the absolute edge of the headlight. You can lift it up, you can push it in. Get a nice clean finish. You get to a point where you now go to the bottom of the bumper. Working it in, it makes your life an absolute breeze. Again, I've not used the heat gun at the bottom part of the bumper. I've not used the heat gun at the top. The reason for that is I've used the heat gun first, heated it up, you then pulled it around the corner. It actually takes shape as you pull it around, and again, you don't put any stretch on this part of the material because you don't want this part to fail. This part is very forgiving because you get to be able to work the vinyl into or around the corner again without any pull. on the end. Now, working this part in is actually quite simple. We've removed the vent that's inside the bumper. Just remembering where it was, you can do again another relief cut. Allowing the vinyl to actually just work in. At least it's not 100% sharp corner, so it allows for a bit of a stretch. As long as you don't overstretch the material, making sure that when working with it, it goes down quite easily, again with too much stretch. Reason for the relief cut is when you get to this point, you can see the gap opening up, allowing the vinyl to actually just fall into place so much quicker and so much better. Again, not forcing the material into a too deep spot. Luckily, like I said, this is very shallow. You can actually just go push it in most of the spots, getting it down quick and easy and hassle free. Putting another relief cut just making it easy to work in to where the vent goes, allowing minimal stretch to every single part. Now that you're at this point, the trimming process can begin, which is quite simple and easy. Wrapping a bumper, following the correct techniques, not overstretching the vinyl anywhere, but pulling it to exactly where you want it to be, around the corner, you know, the edge of the bumper or the front part of the bumper, which allows the stretch and not having any stretch on the end, allowing the vinyl, not allowing the vinyl to be able to pull back at any given moment. With something like this, it should be pretty fail safe and hassle free on the stretch of the material. If you don't want any part of the bumper at any given moment to pull back. I think it's quite important not to, well, it's quite important, yeah, it is quite important not to have a stretch at any point. Like I said, allowing the vinyl to basically fall in freely into the grooves allows the workability on any material or any job so much better and hassle free. You don't need to go and stress about someone, one of your guys or anyone for that matter, to pull it into a groove, phoning you, telling you that it's failing because of reasons X, Y, and Z. Knowing that you guys can go to sleep quite easily without having to worry that I'm going to phone them up because they've made a mistake by following the wrong procedure. giving you absolute peace of mind that this will not fail. Obviously, like I said, with the material, it's very important to use the correct material for any job. But with this one, this material is quite good. I wouldn't actually say quite good, it's really good. Using this for this application, it actually works pretty well. Trimming off the vinyl, the excess vinyl, to make sure that the job looks 100% perfect. Makes it a win-win situation for everybody. So that's it. That's the bumper wrap.